Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Patrice, and in today's video we'll be doing a library book haul. And now let's get started. So the first book that I picked up on this book haul is The Message by Ta-Nehisi Coates. So I was so excited to finally see this in my local library. I've been wanting to read this since he first came out with this, and I am so excited. So I'm just going to read you the blurb. Ta-Nehisi Coates originally set out to write a book about writing in the tradition of Orwell's classic Politics in the English Language, but found himself grappling with deeper questions about how our stories, our reporting and imaginative narratives and myth-making expose and distort our realities. The first of the book's three main parts takes Coates on his inaugural trip to Africa, a journey to Dakar, where he finds himself in two places at once, a modern city in Senegal and the ghost-haunted country of his imagination. He then takes readers along with him to Columbia, South Carolina, where he reports on the banning of his own work and the deep roots of a false and fiercely protected American mythology, visibly on display in this capital of the Confederacy, with statues of segregationists still looming over the public squares. Finally, in Palestine, Coates sees with devastating clarity the tragedy that grows in the clash between the stories we tell and reality on the ground. Written at a dramatic moment in American and global life, this work from one of the country's most important writers is about the urgent need to untangle ourselves from the destructive myths that shape our world and our own souls, and embrace the liberating power of even the most difficult truths. Like I said, I was so excited to see this at the library. I wanted to get this like my own copy, but until I can buy one, I'm going to read it from the library. And I know there's like some controversy with like his essays and things, but I think he's like a brilliant writer and a great thinker, and usually most of the time I agree with what he's saying, so very ready to read that. The next book I have is The Sweetness at the Bottom of the Pie by Alan Bradley. And this is a cozy mystery. And this one was interesting to me because first, I've heard lots of good things about it. But second, the main character is a child. So it's like a child solving mysteries. It reminds me of like Encyclopedia Brown. And in this one, the child is 11-year-old Flavia. And it says, Alan Bradley introduces one of the most singular and engaging heroines in recent fiction, 11-year-old Flavia de Lucy, an aspiring chemist with a passion for poison. It's the summer of 1950, and a series of inexplicable events has struck Buckshaw, the decaying English mansion that Flavia's family calls home. A dead bird is found on the doorstep, a postage stamp bizarrely pinned to its beak. Hours later, Flavia finds a man lying in the cucumber patch and watches him as he takes his dying breath. For Flavia, who is both appalled and delighted, life begins in earnest when murder comes to Buckshaw. I wish I could say I was afraid, but I wasn't. Quite the contrary. This was by far the most interesting thing that had ever happened to me in my entire life. An enthralling mystery, a piercing depiction of class and society. The sweetness at the bottom of the pie is a masterfully told tale of deceptions and a rich literary delight. So also I wanted to get this because I don't like starting mysteries in the middle of the series. I like to go and start at the beginning. So I actually had to request this from another library. So this is the first in this series, and hopefully I like it. The next book that I have is The Spellshop by Beth Durst. And this is actually a romantasy. I know what I have said. But this looks interesting because it looks like there's a lot of magic in here. So hopefully the relationship parts won't be too cringy. But this, I read the first couple of pages, like the first chapter, and it started off good. And then look at these pages. Those are so pretty. Nice, pretty color. And the cover is cute too. So it looks like it's going to be like a little cozy, like nothing like crazy, like dark or anything. It looks like it's going to be like a cute romance. Let's see. It says, Kayla has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant, Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to a remote island Kayla never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Kayla discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix up her new home. In need of income, Kayla identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter. So Kayla risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. So this sounds like it's going to be really good. So hopefully, like I said, it's not too spicy and cringy with like the romance parts, and we get like a lot more magic than romance, but we shall see. The next book I have is Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. And this is a contemporary historical fiction, and this is written by an African American author. And this was actually recommended on a few other booktube channels. So I definitely wanted to pick it up from their recommendations. So it says, sometimes the only way forward is to look back. When 10-year-old Ebby Freeman heard the gunshot, time stopped. When she saw her brother Baz on the floor, surrounded by shattered pieces of a treasured heirloom, her life felt shattered as well. The crime was never solved. Ever since, the Freemans, one of the only black families in a well-to-do enclave in New England, have dreaded becoming the center of another media frenzy. But when now-grown Ebby's high-profile romance falls apart, that's exactly what happens. Ebby flees to France, only for her past to follow. As she processes the shock, she begins to think about the other loss her family suffered that day. The stoneware jar that had been in their family for generations, brought north by an enslaved ancestor. Soon, Ebby realizes that the handcrafted piece held more than just her family's history. It might also be the key to claiming a new future. Wilkerson traces the reverberations of a crime, the fracturing of a family, and the myriad choices we face when we try to ease the wounds of the past and grapple with the fragments of a fraught inheritance. With its weaving of voices and deft movement through time and place, Good Dirt showcases Wilkerson's signature style and mastery of her craft, confirming her place as one of the most exciting novelists writing today. So, yeah, I've heard good things about this. Very excited to read. The next book I picked up is The Fallen Fruit by Shawntelle Madison. And she is also an African American author, and this is a historical fiction, sci-fi, fantasy. And this says, on a rainy day in May 1964, history professor Cecily Bridge Davis begins to search for the 65 acres of land she inherited from her father's family. The quest leads her to uncover a dark secret. In every generation, one offspring from each Bridge family unit vanishes and is mysteriously whisked back in time. Rules have been established that must be followed to prevent dire consequences. Never interfere with past events. Always carry your free Negro papers. Search for the survival family packs in the orchard and surrounding forest. Do not speak to strangers. With only a family Bible and a map marked with the locations of mysterious containers to aid her, Cecily heads to the library, hoping to discover the truth of how this curse began and how it might be ended. As she moves through time, she encounters a circle of ancestors who will change Cecily's life. It is a race through time and against the clock to find the answers that will free her family forever. So yeah, this is good. Sci-fi, fantasy elements, time travel. Ooh, this sounds very, very good. Very, very good. And I believe this is like her debut novel, so hopefully this is good and she'll write more things. The next book I have is The Magnificent Ruins by Nayantara Roy, and this is a contemporary / literary fiction. And I picked this up because it's like, so I don't know why I'm drawn to books about Indian culture, but there's like a number of mysteries that I've read that have main characters that are like living in India or from India. And I saw this and I said, oh, okay, well, let me see what they are talking about. So in this story, it says it's the summer of 2015 and Lila Day is on the verge of a breakthrough in her career at a prestigious New York publishing house. But when she gets a call from her mother in India informing her that her grandfather has left his house to Lila in his will, it falls to her not just to manage the estate, but also to confront the legacy of a complicated extended family that she thought she left behind 16 years ago. Back in Kolkata, Lila reunites with her mother after a decade of estrangement, and then there are her grandmother, aunts, uncles, and cousins, all of whom still live on different floors of the house, all of whom resent her sudden inheritance. To make matters more complicated, her first boyfriend seeks her out when she arrives, and back in the States, her star author and occasional lover is suddenly determined to make things serious. As Lila tries to come to terms with both past and present, long-suppressed secrets from her family emerge, culminating in an act of shocking violence, and she must finally reckon with her inherited custom of keeping everything under the surface. Wise, witty, and deeply moving, The Magnificent Ruins is an utterly addictive read and a stunning debut. So this sounds like it's going to be like lots of family drama. It may be even like a little bit of a mystery with some murder thrown in there. Always good for me, right up my alley. That's what I like. And the last book I picked up is titled The Witches of El Paso by Luis Jaramillo. And this book is a fantasy historical fiction with a touch of magical realism. So I've gotten like quite a few sci-fis and like fantasy magic, so this is good. This is going to be good. Good reading. This one says, something's amiss in modern day El Paso, where the lines that separate reality and the supernatural seem to be blurring at an alarming rate, and one family is about to find themselves at a border that may be too dangerous to cross. Ambitious attorney Marta knows where real power lives in this world, in money and blood. Her work as a lawyer has underscored this sober reality, a contrast to the colorful stories her great-aunt Nina spins about La Vista, the magical gift Nina claims they both share. As Marta balances the care of her quirky 93-year-old tia Nina with motherhood and her struggling legal aid practice, she discovers that Nina had a daughter she abandoned in the past, and they must work together to find a way back to her. Back in 1943, 18-year-old Nina yearns for a life of adventure that extends beyond caring for her sister's children and worrying about her increasing premonitions and feigning spells. When the mysterious Sister Benedicta arrives at her doorstep and beckons her across the desert, Nina jumps at the opportunity to escape her reality. She follows Sister Benedicta through a doorway in time, transporting her from El Paso, Texas to colonial Mexico. As Nina blossoms into her own power and falls in love, she discovers that magic comes at a price, and it will take many years to even the score. Okay, so it says magic, motherhood, and the music of the coven. So yeah, this sounds really good too. So maybe like more, it sounds like more time travel. Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens here. So it looks like I'm gonna have a very interesting reading time with this haul. And let me know, if any of these books are on your radar, or if it sounds like that you would like to read some of these books. Let me know in the comments. And once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.